Hello, welcome. Today we are going to discuss different ways of creating arrays using sagemath commands. First, we will see the sagemath commands, and after that I will demonstrate how these sagemath commands can be implemented in the co-calc system. Arrays are created using NumPy. We need NumPy package that is built in sagemath. So we need to call this package, this module, to get arrays implementations, to run arrays or to produce arrays in sagemath. For that we can use the command import NumPy. See, so every such array implementation must begin with the import NumPy. But you note one thing, that once this NumPy is imported, then there is no need to use that command repeatedly. Once it is opened, then you can continuously use it for other different purposes of creating arrays or some related activities. See an example which is given here. In the first step, you can type import NumPy, Numpy, and then this is an array creation step. See this see this particular command, in which in this command you can see this part, and it's the name used for array. So every array must be created. If there is no array created while you do your program, if you have not created any array, then you have to create an array by choosing a name. So this is the name chosen by you or the programmer to represent that array. So you can see, you can choose your own choice, a name of your own choice. There is no restrictions, but following some conditions, there are some rules to create an array. Create a name. Right, it must not be any word like NumPy. Some already used some reserved words are there. In every programming language there are some reserved words. There exists a set of reserved words. So a programmer cannot use a word from the reserved word. Then array ex. Array stands for array, and ex stands for example. Here array ex equal to, then this equal to here stands for assigning the data which follows that equal to symbol. So this step assigns the array that we are going to create into the location of array ex. Then you write NumPy dot. After that you can write array, NumPy dot array, and then in bracket then you write the different elements that must belong to that array in it, separated by commas. Inside the square bracket you can write. And this is the structure of a simple array. Then coming to the third line, you can see using this line you can display the content of the array that you have created. So once you you type array ex means, you have to the system must display the content of the array. Then you can see after implementing this step, after entering this step, you can see that the co-calc system or the system will display the content of the array, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and this will be the output. You can see the output, and this array as the output. And this is about this is a simple example of a one-dimensional array. Means there is only one row. There will be only one row in that array, a one-dimensional array. But you can increase the number of elements. So any number of elements can be entered in an array. If you want to include more elements, you can add them. You can include them, separating by commas. Each element must be separated. The elements must be separated by commas, and you can include them at the end of this already existing array. And now we can see how to create arrays of arrays having more than one rows or multiple rows. See this example. Here also it begins with import numpy. Then the word used here is in the second line, array mul. Array mul is used. It's the word created. It's the name created by you. Array mul. Mul stands for multiple array. So it's the short form of a multiple array. Array mul equal to. Then this is the standard part, numpy, then dot, numpy dot, and then array. Must type array. And after that, inside the bracket, you can see a command used. Here inside this bracket, one square bracket is given, and then after that one more square bracket is opened, and inside this square bracket you can see j comma 2 star j, and then that square bracket is closed. After that, for j in range 3, you can see this. What is the meaning of this? You will you will realize the meaning of that of this sentence structure after seeing the output. You can see the output here. I am going to explain. I will explain that now. For j in range 3, and then the square bracket is closed, and after that that open bracket, that simple bracket is also closed. And then by typing array mul, you can see the content of the array displayed on the screen, and this is the output. Then you can see on the screen. But what happens here? See, in the created array, you can see in the first row contains 0, 0. The second row contains 1, 2, and the third row contains 2 and 4. And there are only 3 rows here. You can see there are only 3 rows. So these rows must be given the number 0th row. So we label these rows, and there is a system of labeling the rows and columns in an array, in a multi-dimensional array. The first row is labeled 0, or it is named 0. And the second row, then naturally it becomes for the first row. The third row becomes the second row, like that. So the 0th row, first row, and the second row. In a similar way, the first column will be the 0th column. So this is the 0th column, and then this is the first column. No, 0th column and the first column. Continuously the labels will come, but starting from 0. So this particular array contains, it's a two-dimensional array, In the previous case, the array is one dimensional, but in this case it is two dimensional. In this two dimensional array, it means it contains rows and columns. There are three rows and two columns. These rows are, when there are three rows, the rows are numbered 0, 1 and 2. When there are two columns, the columns are numbered 0 and 1. Zeroth row, zeroth column and first column. Likewise it is numbered. And so suppose in an array, in a two-dimensional array, there exists 5 rows and 6 columns. 5 rows and 6 columns. Then the numbering will be from 0 to 4. The row numbering will be 0 to 4. See, if there are 5 rows, the number will start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the number just below the maximum number, or the maximum level of the row will be the number just below the number of rows indicated in that in the dimension of the array. Here in the dimension of the array we have 5 rows, 5 rows and 6 columns. So the labels will be 0 up to 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 4. But coming to the case of columns, since there are 6 columns, the numbering must start where? It must start at 0. So 0, 0th column, first column, and likewise goes up to the 6th column. Sorry, up to the 5th column. One number below the maximum value of the maximum number of columns there. So 0, 1, 2, etc. to 5 it will go. So this is the way of labeling the rows and columns in a two-dimensional array. And this is very important if you want to if you want to take an element, or if you want to insert an element. There are two procedures, very simple procedures that we usually do with the rows. Sometimes you want to include an element in a particular cell in an array. Then you have to specify the position of the cell in that array, and you can specify that position only by using that that label of a row and a column of that particular cell. In a similar way, if you want to take a particular element from a row, that procedure also require the exact row label and exact column label, row and column label of that particular cell. So for this purpose, it is very important. So we will come to that that particular type of operations after some time. Now we are coming back to the creation of various aspects of creating arrays. Okay, here coming to this point, here you can see this array contains 3 rows. The zeroth row is created here. You can see this program is here written. The part of the program which you can see inside that bracket. So this is specifically written to create this array of 3 rows, arrays of 3 rows. So see how it is created. You can see that when we by looking at the elements present in these arrays, you can see the elements in the first row are 0, 0. In the second row they are 1, 2, and third row they are 2 and 4. You can see the first, if you take this element, the first element 0, and then the second element is also 0, and when you take the first element, the second row 1, and the second element is 2. It's it's the first element multiplied by 2. In the third row also you can see the same pattern. Thus the elements in the first, second and third row follow a pattern. What is that pattern? That pattern is that the second element in the row is a multiple of the first element in that row by 2. So after identifying this pattern, this kind of procedure is applicable, is possible only if there exists some pattern. If among the pattern followed by the elements present in the rows, if there is no such pattern, or the elements are, if the elements are independent, then there is no way to apply this method. So you don't be don't have the misunderstanding that you can apply this method for creating arrays of any size, or for creating arrays at any time. And this method is applicable only in this particular case. Okay. Now here, since the elements follow a pattern, and that pattern I have explained, and that pattern can be written as a program here. How that program is written, the first element in the array are represented by the number, by the integer j. Here what do? Here we represent the first element in the array by j. And then you can write the second element very easily. You can write the second element as 2 into j. The first element in the row, in the rows are written as j. Then you can write the second element as 2 into j. Thus we have a method, a formula. Thus we have discovered a formula to write the elements in a particular row. That formula is j comma 2 into j. Once again, that formula is, that method is j comma 2 into j. And after finding such a formula, such a method to write the elements in a particular row, if you can vary this row in a particular range, from 0 to 2. From 0 to 2, if you can repeat, if you can repeat that particular formula for a particular level of or particular number of steps, if you can repeat that formula or that procedure for a given number of steps, then you can easily create that much number of rows. And that is the procedure here followed. So here we are trying to repeat that general row. The general row is written as here j comma 2 into j. That will be repeated 3 times. How many times do we repeat that? You need to repeat that that row, that general row, the row written in a general form. It is going to be repeated 3 times. First time will be called the zeroth time, and the second time will be called the first time, or the first repetition. The zeroth repetition, first repetition, and the second repetition. Thus, by varying, this can be done by varying the number j, or the variable j. If we take the variable j, this j can be given different values starting from 0 up to 2. 0 to, so assuming that j equal to 0, when j equal to 0, then you get to the first row. When j equal to 1, you get the second row, and when j equal to 2, you get the third row. Yeah. So for that you can write for repetition, for repeating, for implementing the repetition of some step, of the same step for a particular number of time. In computer language, this is called looping. Looping means doing an activity for a particular number of time. Repeatedly we are doing the similar type of activity for a specified number of time. Here the specified number is 3 times. And the 3 times, how can we repeat it? Should be informed to the system. It should be, that information must be given to the system. For giving that information to the system, we are going to write, or we are going to use a syntax, a particular way of it's a particular way of informing that system how many times we need to repeat it. That you can write 4j. We are going to repeat, and this step is, this formula is going to repeat for a number associated with this range 3. This by this range 3 we mean 0, 1 and 2. 0, 1 and 2. So if you write range 3 in Python or in sagemath, if you write range 3, it means the number begins with, the range is from 0 to 2. 0 to 2. Then the system will consider the numbers starting from 0, 1, starting from 0 then up to 2. So the numbers will be 0, 1 and 2, and these two numbers will come in this range. So if you want to create the numbers up to 9, then you have to write the range 10. Suppose you want to create 10 rows. Instead of these 3 rows, if somebody wants to create 10 rows, then how should you write? You should replace the number 3 by 10. Then labels of the rows will be 0. The starting row is 0, 0, then first row, second row, third row, etc. It will go up to the 9th row. So from 0 to 9, how many rows are there? 10 rows are there. So this is the way of representing rows. And then you have to you can write the command using the range word, the range, and then an integer must be, a positive integer must be given. So by allowing j to vary in the range 3 means allowing j to vary among the integers 0, 1 and 2, then you get the formula repeated, or you can implement the repetition of the formula. The formula is j comma 2j. You can get the implementation of the formula done by the system. As what happens then? As a result, when j equal to 0, so for j in range 3 means for j in 0, 1 and 2, or for j when it is when the first value is 0, when the second value is 1, and when the third value is 2, this formula is created, or that corresponding array is created. The array corresponding to that value is created. Then what happens when j equal to 0, 0 then 2 into 0, so that will be created. The first row is then created. When j equal to 1, then what is created? 1, since j equal to 1, then coming to the formula 1 comma 2 into 1, so 1 into 1, 2 will be created. When j equal to 2, the last value, when j equal to 2, coming to the formula, you get then 2 into 2, 4. So 2, 4 will be created, and by that you reach the end of that loop. The loop statement, it's a loop statement. You reach the end of the loop statement, and then it will quit. After that, it will not do anything until it see a command like this. This command says that you have to print the system. It says to the system that print the content of that array. The array mul must be displayed. It must be printed on the screen. So for that you write the command array mul, and then when you press Control Enter, when you simultaneously press Control Enter, you can see that the output is 0, 0, 1, 2 and 2, 4. I know then in this referring this array, this created particular array, suppose you want to take the element 2 from this array. You can then how can you take this element? For that, but just by writing the array name, you can see here the whole elements in the entire thing in the array is displayed. But if suppose you want only one or two elements, you want a particular element which is stored at a particular position in the array. If you want only that element, then how can you write that command? You can see it here. For getting the element in the 2-1 position here, in the 2-1 position means here this is 0th row, first row, and the second row. So by the number 2, it stands for the array label. So 2 means the second array. Here second array is the last array. Second array. In the second array, or by choosing second array, when the system sees 2 in the first position, it then goes to the second array. Second array means second row, then it goes to the second row, and in the second row then it will search for the first element. In the second row, first element is in the second row, this is the 0th element. In the second row, 0th element, this is the first element. So in the first in the second row, the first element is 4. So see, in this way you can see the element can be taken, the output can be taken by specifying the position of a particular element in an array. So for that you write array. The name of the array must be first written, and then the label of the position of that particular element must follow that name of the array. So array mul, then followed by 2 in square bracket, when again 1 in square bracket can display the content of that particular cell, that is 4. So in a similar way, suppose you want to take the 0. There are 2 zeros in the array. Suppose you want to take the first 0. How can you give a command? You should write array mul. First you should write, and then you have to specify the position label of that particular element. The position label of the particular element you can be obtained by writing the row and column label. See, this element is the element 0 is in the 0th row, so you should write 0, and you can also see that it is in the 0th column. So this element is in the 0th row and 0th column, so you should write mul 0 0. Both zeros must be enclosed in square brackets, and then you type enter, not just enter, alt enter. You can press alt enter to obtain the output that will be 0. Which will be displayed. Similarly, if you want to display the number 2, you can write array mul, then that's in the, since that element is in the second in the first row, it's in the first row in the first column, so you must write array mul 1 in first bracket, square bracket, 1 in the second square bracket. So that way you can take. And suppose you want to replace an element in this array, that you can assign that value. You can replace that element. Suppose you want to replace 2 by 4. Suppose, then you can give a suitable command for that, and then enter. Then you will it will then replace that element. So that can be demonstrated in another class, another video. Okay, that's the end of the discussion on creating arrays, and now I am going to open the demonstration. Okay, we need to open the co-calc system. Okay, Okay, the co-calc system. In the co-calc system, see, I have opened, I am keeping one project open, but since some time has elapsed for that opening that project, since no activity is going for some time in this system, it shows it's asking to start again that project. So yeah, I start. I am going to activate that project. Yeah, now it is activated. Now you can see in the window, you can see a project opened. A project in Jupyter Notebook is open here. You can see in that project I am going to type the commands for creating arrays. See, here this is the input. It's an input window in an input line here. Then by typing Alt Enter, you can obtain the output. Okay. No, nothing, and there is an error there in the last line that I have entered. There is an error. It shows that error message. Okay, we can yeah, we can come to the new line. See, and see the implementation of these three lines. So first, you know, in that project, I have already, I have been using, I have been working with the package NumPy. Yeah, so it's already open there. Anyway, you can once again you can type that command. So if it is not opened, then you cannot proceed without that. You should type import NumPy. So it's an important step. Without NumPy, you cannot implement the array operations. So import NumPy. Import NumPy. Okay, then you can see if that typing is correct. If the typing is errorless, then you can see it in two different colors. You can see the color, and this is NumPy will be in black, and then you know, I don't like to repeat it, type it completely because I don't want to waste time. So I am going to that program part, and then see, I am copying this. The second line I am copying. You can also do that when you work with the project, your project, or your programming. You can also use this method of copying and pasting, and because you can also save time. That will help you to save time. You know, suppose you have done some steps, you have entered, you have typed some lengthy line in your previous input steps. You can, and if you want to use it repeatedly, then you can copy that line from the previous steps, and you can after that you can paste it in your current line of implementation. So that method you can use. You know, see this second line, and here I have typed that I have used that the same name of the array example, array x, and then equal to NumPy dot array, and this is very important. This syntax is very important, so you should note that NumPy dot array, and then after writing array in simple bracket, you can enter the number of elements that you want to include in a particular array. Here those elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then you know, close that bracket. You should note that you cannot leave an open bracket without, you cannot leave without closed an open bracket. So it is very important. Once you open a bracket, it must be closed properly, and syntactically it must be closed, otherwise it will show an error. So see that everything is done, and then you know, I am going to type the same array name, array ex. same must be done. Same number. Same name must be written. If there is an error in that typing, and then it will show complete error. See, then after that, after typing, and this is written to display the content of the array. So by typing this, by typing the sentence, the second sentence, second line in the input, I have assigned that elements into the location named array example, array AX. Now I am going to take the output. So for that I press Ctrl Enter. See the output, you can see in the output line what is displayed: array 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and these are the elements. So you can see, now I am going to make a small change in this array. I am going to include more elements in this array. So for that here in this step I am not going to write the import numpy command, because numpy is already there opened, it's working. Now numpy is in the working mode. It's there at the side of this program. You can see it's open there. It's always ready to work, so no need to repeat the command import numpy. So straight away I can type the command second line, see, and for your giving you more experience, I am going to make a change in the name. I am going to create a new array. In the name of the array I am going to make a change. See, array example I am going to rename it. I am going to change the name of the array. I am going to rename it as ex2. So array example 2, because it's our second example. So and I am going to see this change is not mandatory actually. Without that change you can proceed, but I am actually going to demonstrate how more elements are going to be included in this array. So for that I am going to add some more elements, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. After that I would like to include my own choice. I am going to apply here. I selected 8, a number 8 I am going to include, and then 10 I am going to include. Also I am going to include 12. And then by this I would like to close, because I don't want to include more numbers, just to demonstrate, okay. After that suppose you want to see the content of that array, you want to see the content of that newly created array. Suppose you want to see the content of that newly created array. That new array has a new name, array example2. Okay, so for that you have to type that name, not the previous name. So array, that also I can copy and paste. From there I copy and paste it here, and then which key? Alt Enter. Alt Enter. After pressing Alt Enter, you can see the output in this line: array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to that point it is there, and then new elements are added: 8, 10 and 12. So this is the simple way of adding elements, and this way you can remove elements also. You can remove elements from an array, or you can add elements to an array, and thus you can make changes in an array, and you can create new arrays of your choice by selecting your own names. Likewise you can do many things with one-dimensional array. So see, all these are about the one-dimensional array. Now coming to the implementation of the two-dimensional array. See, I am going to create two-dimensional array. See, first that program, using that program that we have discussed, we are going to create a two-dimensional array. See this one, and after that, after implementing that 3 steps, then I will make some modifications, and I will demonstrate how this array can be slightly modified to get arrays of more bigger sizes, and containing different new elements, different new elements of different type. So I am going to demonstrate that. First we will take this. Now you can now copy this only only the second element, only the second row, because num5 is already there. It is there. It is working along with that programming. Yeah, along with you it is working. It's there. So no need to copy that. I just copy this. But you can see the array mul new name is given to that array, and then I type it. Okay, and then first you want to see the output. Okay, and then control enter. Yeah. See, the output is displayed here: 0 0 array, 0 0 1 2 and 2 4. You can see exactly that output that we were expecting is displayed here. Okay. Now I am now going to make slight changes. First I want to increase the number of arrays. First, yeah, you can see that suppose you want to make the number of arrays equal to 10. Number of rows, sorry, in this particular array, the number of rows, if you want to increase the number of rows to 10, how many rows are now here? Here it contains 3 rows, and you want to increase the number of rows to 10. So how can you do that? You just look at this program part. Here, see, and this stands for the formula representing a particular or a general. It's the generalization of that array elements. So you have to leave that. But this part is very important. For j in range, here you want to vary. You want to allow j to vary in which range, from 0 to 9. For that, you have to write range 10. I have specified that. Yeah, already I have specified. I have mentioned that. Okay. So for that, I copy this. And paste. Okay, and then program is almost same, but only with one change, that for 10 rows I write 10 here. Then rows will range from 0 up to 9. Labels of rows will be 0 up to 9. After that, that is copied, entered. And then to take the output, I press the key, and that you can now here see the new array of bigger size is created. How many rows are there? There are 10 rows. First row contains 0 0, second row 1 2, and likewise it contains up to 9 and 18. 9 18. It is the multiple of 9. Yeah, this way we can create. So now I think you have got an idea about writing the program step like for j in range 10. Yeah, I think you have got an idea. Okay, now I am going to make another change. Now see, what is the change I am going to make? I have to suppose I want to include one more column here in this array. I want to include one more column in this array. I want to include one more column, but not an ordinary column. That column must contain 3 times elements present in the first column. See, what is the content of that? What must be the content of the third column? Third column must contain 3 times elements in the first column. Elements in the first column are 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. to 9. And these elements must be multiplied by 3, and it must be multiplied, it must be displayed as the elements, as the members of the third column. How can we do that? It's very clear that just by making some change in the program part representing an array, representing the row in the array. Here the jth row is represented here by this formula. So you have to make change in the jth row itself. You have to make change. What change you can make? The first element is here denoted by j. In the jth row, the first element is denoted by j. The second element is denoted by 2 times j. And so if you want one more element in that row, in the jth row, and also if it is 3 times that of the first element, what should you do? You should put a comma. That means one more element is going to be included in that row. That comma specifies that we are going to include one more element. Then what is that element? That element must be 3 times 3 into 3 star j. 3 into j. Okay, 3 into j. And thus I have made the change in the jth row, in the jth row, and nothing more is required here. Nothing more is required. I don't want to include that change here, change in that step itself. I actually want to make it in a new in a new step. So in a new input statement. So I will keep it without change as it is. I will keep that input line 5 will be kept without any change. I am not going to alter that, but instead, I will copy that. I will copy it, and in the new input step, in the new input line, I paste it. After that, there I am going to make that change. The same change that I mentioned. Yeah, 3 times j. Okay, 3 times the same name. We follow the same name, but since we use the same name, every time a new statement is used, every time a new program is written, the content of that array will change. So the content of the array is keep changing. Continuously it is going to change. Okay, now I want to display the content. Array name is array multiplication. Array mul in array multiplication. Okay, array mul. Okay, then there was an error and some extra space was given, so I have cancelled that. Next, I want to display the content. Okay. Yeah. See what has happened. Yeah, here you can see three columns are created. First column, first row is yes, 3 columns are created, and same number of rows. Same number of rows are there. So first row elements are 0, 0, 0. Second row are 1, 2, 3, and 2, 4, 6 next, and the last elements are 9, 18, 27. See, this is the output created using the small change which is made further in that previous step. So if you want to create this in this way, if you want to create an array of varying size, you have to think a little about the number of elements present in that array. But this method is not applicable, not possible. You cannot follow this method always. So you should be aware about that, because the number of because the elements in the rows and columns, or the element in a particular in general, the elements in the rows and columns of that array, if they don't follow any particular pattern, you cannot follow. You cannot use this particular way of formulating that row or column using some method, some mathematical expression will fail. So as a result, you know, you cannot apply this method in all the cases. Okay. Now, what is the position of this position value? Position value of this position value means, I mean, position label. Position label of this number 21. The number 21, in which row you have to first you have to find the row label. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, sorry, it is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. So it is the 7th. And this number 21 is in the 7th row, and it is in the 0, 1, 2 in the 7th row in the second column. This is 0th row, 0th column. This is first column, and this is second column. So and 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. 7 rows. 7th row and the second column. So if you want to take the number 21 separately outside, you should enter array mul, and then in first bracket you should write 7. In the second bracket you should second square bracket you should write 2. Then you enter. Then you have to take the output by entering specified keys. You can take the output. Okay. Next. Okay. And what we can do more about more with this command. Let's see. Okay, we have seen how the number of rows can be increased, and also we have seen how number of columns can be increased. Yeah, both the thing we have discussed. Okay, and thus in this video we have seen the various ways of creating arrays. First, one-dimensional array, how one-dimensional arrays are created. Next, how two-dimensional arrays are created, and another thing that we discussed along with this creation of arrays are how to increase and decrease, how to change the number of rows and columns in the arrays created, and how to take elements from a particular position in an array, or how to include an element, and all these things we have discussed. Okay, thank you.